Hi everyone. Today we are going to talk about 10.2 unit circle. Unit circle is very important in trigonometry. So before we talk about unit circle, we need to practice with this. Pythagorean theorem, right? So can you find the length of t in this right triangle? So what do you use? You use Pythagorean theorem. Do you know how to set up the Pythagorean theorem? Is it t squared is equal to 3 squared plus 1 over 2 squared? No, right? That's wrong. Always one side hypotenuse square must be alone and then is equal to sum of the other squares here, right? So let's see how. So I set up the equation like this. T squared plus half square is equal to hypotenuse square. So hypotenuse must be alone in this side. Okay? And then you solve for t. So half square is 1 over 4. And then if you subtract, you move it here. Then 9 minus 1 over 4 is 35 over 4, right? But t squared is this. To remove 2, square the power of 2, what should you do? You do the square root to the both side, right? Then if you do the square root, t squared become t, and here square root of 35 over 4. But we learned that t, when you have a variable square, it gives you two answers, plus and minus, right? So plus and minus. So you simplify. One square root, if this is a fraction, you can separate into the two fractions. Like so numerator and denominator, you can separate. Square root of 35, you cannot do anything, but square root of 4 is equal to 2. Now, what happened? Where did the negative sign go? Only plus? Yeah, it's a plus because this is the distance. Distance cannot be negative, right? So t is only square root of 35 over 2. So we should be familiar with how to solve Pythagorean theorem and then simplify like this. Please practice by yourself. And let's go to the unit circle, our today's lesson. So unit circle is a circle with the radius is 1 and then in the coordinate plane like this. And center is in the origin, right? So radius is 1 from 0, 0 to the xy here. This radius is equal to what? 1, right? But this radius is, we know the distance formula in the do now. So we are going to use distance formula, right? So distance is 1. How do you get the distance? Like this. If you draw a right triangle by drawing the vertical line from here to the x-axis, or always in the trigonometry, when you draw the right triangle from the point through the vertical line to the what? X-axis. If you are here, you draw vertical line to the x-axis. You are here like this, okay? Make sure always you draw vertical line, not the horizontal line. Then you draw a line here. Look at this. All right. This is the one leg, x minus 0. This vertical line is another leg, y minus 0, right? So you put into the Pythagorean theorem and then do the square root. So in the square root, x minus 0 square, and this is y minus 0 square. You add them and do the square root is equal to 1 square. But 1 square is equal to 1, right? So it will be like this. If you simplify. So let's see with one example. Find the y coordinate of a point, y coordinate of a point on the unit circle when x coordinate is half, x is half about here. But the point is not here because it's not quadrant 1. Where's the quadrant 4? Or here, right? Quadrant 4 is here. Then what should you do? Your point might be here, right? About here. Then how do you draw a right triangle? You draw a right triangle this way to the x-axis. And can you imagine the right triangle like this? The x is half, y, we don't know, so variable y. What's hypotenuse? 1. So how do you solve it? Now we are using the Pythagorean theorem, right? So let's go. So x squared plus y squared is equal to 1 squared, because in the unit circle, x minus 0 is x. You don't need to do anything else. So simply x squared plus y squared is equal to 1 squared. And then we know that x was a half. So half squared plus y squared is equal to 1. You simplify. Half squared is 1 over 4, right? Then what do? You move it to the other side, and by subtracting it, then 1 minus 1/4 become 3 over 4. Now, you do the square root to the both sides, or you have a plus minus. But we know the distance become, but, oh, hold on, not yet, not distance. We need to think about the sign later, because x and y value coordinate, right? You need to figure out the coordinate. Now you separate into the two fractions. So square root of 3, square root of 4, and square root of 4 become 2. Still, you have a plus and minus. Now we need to determine, is it plus or minus? So how do you determine? Quadrant 4. Quadrant 4 is here, right? Here, x value is positive, yes. X was a half, x is positive. How about y value? Oh, y is negative. So we choose y is negative, square root 3 over 2. So in the unit circle, to find out the other coordinate, what we should remember? Plus minus sign, but in the each quadrant, right? So you know the each quadrant, quadrant 1 here, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. Quadrant 1, everything is positive. So quadrant 2, x is negative, but y is positive. Quadrant 3, x negative, y negative, everything is negative, right? And quadrant 4, x is positive, y is negative. So now here you have error analysis. I believe you can do it. So please identify what the error is, and in your packet you have this, right? So in this side, please write down everything with the right answers. So can you correct the mistake? All right, so now if you go to the, keep going down, then you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 questions. So you can solve the 7 questions, answer in the packet. And if you go down here, there's an exit ticket. So please finish everything and then take pictures of them and email them to me. All right. Thank you. Let's stop here.